Hiked transport fares affect bus transport business. And in sports, Uganda to face South Africa in Under-20 Women World Cup qualifiers.
Was brought to you by Everywhere You Go, MTN.
Welcome once again. We are coming to you live, online and on air from Broadcast House here on Nile Avenue. Elizabeth Nakakoni is on sign language and I am Rukidi Edward Kijanangoma. Minister for Health Jane Ruth Acheng has told the media that government has set up new measures to contain the new Omicron variant of COVID-19. At a media briefing in Kampala, Dr. Acheng said there will be mandatory testing for all travelers entering the country through the airport and border points and tightening surveillance at entry points. We have this report.
The Omicron variant was first identified by scientists in South Africa in a specimen collected on 9th November 2021 and later from specimens collected between 12th to 20th November 2021 from Gauteng, South Africa, Botswana and Hong Kong, and subsequently reported to the World Health Organization on 24th November 2021. Since its initial identification, the variant has spread to a number of countries. Health Minister Jane Ruth Acheng says the variant has not been detected in Uganda.
Important to note that this variant has not been detected in Uganda. More information will be available in the coming weeks, which will be shared with the general public.
Ministry of Health is monitoring the evolution and spread of the Omicron variant globally with a number of measures that have been instituted to prevent the variant.
We have intensified surveillance at points of entry with particular emphasis at the high volume entry points, notably Entebbe International Airport and high volume land border points like Malaba, Busia, Mutukula, Elegu, Mpondwe and Katuna, where people cross on land and they come from several of the South African countries. Testing of incoming travelers at other land points of entry will be conducted by the private laboratories at government set rates.
The minister in senior development informed the public and district task forces of the opening of weekly markets with strict adherence to SOPs.
No longer hotspot areas, and therefore I would like to inform the district task forces and the public that the weekly markets can now be opened.
Ugandans must take the COVID-19 vaccination, remain vigilant and maintain SOPs set by the Ministry of Health. Jane Ngamchia, reporting for UBC in Kampala.
In a related development, ministries of health in Africa have been called upon to join hands in overcoming the new COVID-19 variant recently discovered in South Africa. A Shema Municipality Member of Parliament, Dixon Kateshumbwa, expresses concern over what he describes as the world isolation of the continent over the Omicron variant. Now, this was Ministry of Health update to Parliament on the status of Uganda's preparedness to combat the threat of new COVID-19 variant. Henry Okrot reports.
The B.1.1529 variant of the SARS-CoV-2, also known as Omicron, was first identified by scientists in South Africa.
Jane Ruth Acheng, Uganda's Minister for Health, had just presented to Parliament the status of Uganda's preparedness in overcoming the new COVID-19 variant. She was then bombarded with these reactionary questions from members of Parliament.
Is this emergence of the new variant going to affect the going back of children to school?
The current vaccination that we've got, are we protected?
Why can't this House make a pronouncement, even if it's 1 week, members of Parliament to go back there and talk about this thing so that it shows the importance that it has in the community?
Most outstanding of the concerns was that from Shema Municipality Member of Parliament, Dickson's Kateshumbua. He was troubled to the extent that Africa was on the verge of being isolated over making public the discovery of the new Omicron variant in South Africa.
This thing started from many countries in Europe, but as soon as the South Africans announced, we have had this reaction. And some of it is being looked at as an isolationist approach against Africa.
Minister for Information, Communications Technology and National Guidance, Dr. Chris Bariomunsi, supported the submission.
And that's the reason why, for us, we have not rushed into stopping travelers from these countries, but rather we are strengthening measures, especially at entry points into the country, to ensure that everybody who enters is tested.
And what we are calling upon the Minister of Health, together with the African Union Ministers of Health, under their umbrella, working with the Africa CDC, we want to see them come out and guide the continent and give a statement to give a reassurance that Africa is not going to be isolated.
Fears of any nature about the new COVID-19 variant recently discovered in South Africa, among other countries, have been allayed.
While the Omicron variant has been reported in several countries across the world, it is important to note that this variant has not been detected as yet in Uganda.
This assurance comes at a time Uganda has made strides in the vaccination against COVID-19. A government bill is expected to be presented before Parliament to make vaccination mandatory. Henry Okrut, UBC.
The Vice President Jessica Alupo has challenged the Surveyors Institution of Uganda to apply professionalism and adhere to land laws. The Vice President's call was delivered by the Lands Minister Judith Nabakoba at the end of year luncheon and launch for the 2022 annual general meeting for the Council of Institutions of Surveyors in Uganda.
The Council of Institutions of Surveyors of Uganda has launched the 2022 Annual General Meeting Conference.
Let's all raise up to welcome our chief guest.
The Vice President of Uganda, retired Major Jessica Alupo, was represented by the Lands Minister Judith Nabakoba at an event held in Kampala this Thursday.
Ladies and gentlemen, the surveyors of this country are managing a very intricate industry. This industry involves, among others, delineating property boundaries and the physical features of properties, but it also involves survey of mineral properties and the computation of area volumes and other quantities, as well as preparation of maps and plans. This is a key contribution for maintaining law and order in our communities.
Alupo reiterated the government's commitment towards the institutions of surveyors, but called for total professionalism.
Ethics and integrity are core attributes of high-performing and successful surveying practitioners. Given the current numerous inconsistencies related to land issues, public trust is put online when you fail to live up to the high ethical values and integrity. I wish to encourage you to live by your vision of becoming the center of advancement in land use.
The Lands Minister Judith Nabakoba said government is drafting a new bill to redirect the profession. She also stressed the need to re-equip and retool the surveyors industry. The President of the Institution of Surveyors of Uganda, Dr. Nathan Kawami, appreciated the government's interventions towards the institution.
Current law, the Surveyors Institution Act, is very old, almost 50 years old. Now, by the time that law was enacted, probably there was a particular way of doing things. But just imagine what can happen in 50 years. Right now, technology has changed. The ways of doing things have changed, so we need to get up to speed with the way things are done. Now, the old law can't match with the current practices. These professions have expanded. They're doing a lot of things that are not provided for by the law.
The Surveyors Institution reminded the Ministry of Lands about the expiry of tenure of service of the current Surveyors Board. Robert Onyango, UBC News.
Robert Onyango with that story there. Now, in a new development, the Special Forces of the Democratic Republic of Congo, supported by special units of the Uganda People's Defense Forces, are continuing with search operations in areas which were shelled during the 30th of November ground and air strikes mounted by the two armies aimed at annihilating the Allied Democratic Forces terrorists. This development was contained in a press release sent by Uganda's defense spokesperson, Brigadier General Flavia Byekwaso and Kasonga Chibangu of the Congo Army. Moving on, the attack on ADF by Uganda and DRC forces has posed a danger to locals who are scampering for safety as ADF embarks on killing innocent civilians. Now, this follows Special Forces strikes at ADF camps in North Kivu and Ituri provinces. Now, this is a caution to our viewers that the story to follow contains graphic content.
The Uganda Special Forces continue with operations to search and secure the Allied Democratic Forces positions in a joint air and artillery strike. The aggressive attacks are intended to foil the operations of the ADF based in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Major ADF camps have been cleared in the territories of North Kivu Province and Ituri Province by UPDF. The operations come at a time the President of Uganda advised ADF-linked groups to surrender
and save themselves. Of course, they will be prosecuted, but if they do not come out, they will all die.
A cross-section of the ADF are scampering for safety, but also killing innocent civilians using sharp objects, burning vehicles and residential structures. A source on ground confirms to UBC that ADF has insiders infiltrated in the Congolese army, which is hampering the operations to eject the Allied Democratic Forces.
But when you have a population collaborating with the rebels and then the army, when they deliver minerals, they want to do their own things. So at the end of the day, you will not say anything, no.
The presence of UPDF has also given the people of Congo a sigh of relief and hope.
You know, civilians are very happy in the government, in the UPDF, Congo. They are very happy. Though Hanava and Deva Tarianza. So in the UPDF, it has to do.
The UN High Commissioner for Refugees reports that this year alone, 2021, in ADF-imposed insurgencies, 1,200 people have been killed, 1,100 women raped, and 1 million people displaced. In the latest development, the Democratic Republic of Congo Army has intercepted a man possessing security attire. The operations to end the ADF terror cells are commanded by Lieutenant General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, the commander of the land forces of the UPDF, and the Mountain Division commander, Major General Kayanja Mohanga. Ivan Kahwa, UBC News.
Serious firepower there, and of course the ADF being hit left, right and center by UPDF and DRC forces. Buganda Road Court has granted bail to Kawempe North Member of Parliament Muhammad Sejirinya on the case of inciting violence through his Facebook page. Judge Olga Karunji released the accused on bail on grounds of his health status, the charges against him being bailable in nature, and also presenting substantial sureties among other grounds.
Kawempe North Member of Parliament Muhammad Seglinya was at Buganda Road Court through video conferencing before Magistrate Doreen Oruga Kalungi to hear his bail application. Magistrate Doreen Oruga Kalungi released Muhammad Seglinya on a cash bail of 1 million Ugandan shillings, basing on his health status and presenting substantial sureties.
As such, I do find that the accused person has satisfied this court with the bail consideration, before this court, and as such is granted a cash bail of 1 million Uganda shillings, and the sureties are bonded at 10 million non-cash each.
Aliyo Apple and Bagonza Thomas, all friends to the accused Muhammad Seglinya, stood surety. Prosecution led by Peter Mugisha informed court that inquiries in the matter are complete for hearing of the case. Magistrate Oruga Kalungi set 22nd December 2021 to start the hearing of the matter. Shamim Malene, lawyer for the accused, commented on the ruling.
As in respect to other charges that where bail has not yet been granted or denied, we are doing all things possible to ensure that we secure the release of him on bail in those files, and also to see that where we need to appeal, we are going to file an appeal so that we can ensure that he's free finally, so that he can get medical attention.
Prosecution contains that between the month of August and September 2020 in Kampala district, Muhammad Seglinya, through his Facebook page, Seglinya Muhammad fans page, said words that were inciting violence in the public. Deborah Namamonde, Nantongo Rebecca, UBC News.
The government is set to hold a retreat for chief executive officers at Kyankwanzi, and top on the agenda will be addressing the cost of doing business in Uganda. Prime Minister Robin Anabanja says focus will be on enhancing industrialization for export promotion, employment creation and increased taxes. President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni will be chief guest at the retreat scheduled for between 3rd to 5th of December 2021. Henry Okrut reports.
The retreat is scheduled to take place at National Leadership Institute, Kyankwanzi. It is meant to identify and bridge gaps cited in what affects the business community.
To meet with government, to inform us as government of the gaps they have, so that those gaps can be bridged.
Creating a friendly business environment, addressing the cost of doing business, as well as enhancing ideological orientation, are a part of the agenda. Douglas Opio, a board member with Chief Executive Officers Presidential Forum, looks forward to a discussion focused on increased productivity.
Essentially, our development is private sector-led growth, but there has been a weak link between the government and the private sector. So this retreat seeks to address that. How can the government support the private sector to grow? And then on the other side, what is the responsibility of the private sector in terms of driving the national development agenda? So hopefully within the 2 days, we shall work with the CEOs to come up with clear roadmap. How can we, as the private sector, support national development?
Industries have helped us to employ our people, where we have, instead of importing most of the goods, we are now exporting. That is import substitution. And of course, they pay taxes.
Prime Minister Robin Anabanja says over 200 chief executive officers from both the private and public sector are expected to attend.
We expect the President, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, because he's the one who even gave us these dates. So we expect the President to be there with these people. But majorly to mix with most important people in the country, so that we can together help to give the best environment for doing business in Uganda.
The retreat will be held under the theme, enhancing collaboration between business and government leaders so as to support the attainment of socio-economic transformation. Henry Okrut, UBC.
To Lwengo district now, where in July 2021, unknown assailants raided villages in the night and terrorized many communities in Greater Masaka region. The government responded and the joint security teams intensified operations and developments which have now prevailed sanity in the districts of Greater Masaka. Haruna Mtesasira gives us the details.
Residents in Lwengo districts are currently living in peace and harmony after the recent spate of killings by unknown assailants who carried out murders in the month of July and August 2021. After the recent murders of innocent civilians, security issued key measures in its effort to fight machete-wielding gangs.
A joint operation between police and sister security agencies, UPDF, CMI, ISO, all security agencies that you can know of that man the security of this country were involved.
Joint operations and deployments that involved night patrols were intensified and a number of suspects were arrested.
In patrols, because we are still patrolling, motorized, foot patrol, and the riders. We have also established the riding system where we have motorcycles that keep on riding, penetrating areas where the patrol car cannot reach.
In Lwengo, vigilante groups were established to police their areas. Community watch mode has been introduced among other measures launched in the Lwengo district. The model is spearheaded by Youth Integrated Development Organization in partnership with Uganda Police.
A model that is going to bring on the local community into the fight against crime and this community disorder in partnership with Uganda Police as partners, because we have the support of the RDC, the RPC, the DISO, the DPCZ, the crime intelligence, all the security agencies are involved.
And where does police find us? So community watch model is coming in to enrich us with the knowledge to wake up and fight devices within our communities. Asking a help, begging a help, requesting a help from Uganda Police Force. We should be in a position to identify, to map out for Uganda Police Force.
Lwengo District Police Commander SP Tuala Peter says community watch model includes educating residents on security and safety.
Very, very supportive, extremely supportive, and that's why we registered the success that we registered. So we continue sensitizing our community and the population to continue being supportive to security forces in ensuring that stability is maintained.
The community watch model is enhancing community policing to provide local chairpersons, liaison officers, and the OC stations with tips in crime intelligence. Haruna Mtesasira reporting for UBC News in Lwengo District.
It's coming to 26 minutes after 10 in the studios of UBC TV. We'll now take a short break, but we'll be returning with much more. To stay with us.
Guletede MTN Kabode esimu ya smart josobola okwefunira olwo n'ogisasula mpola nkugambye yeneerye yakabi ate nga tamanyi endala zonna mu katale ejjirako omuggo gwa yintaneti kati ky'oba okola gwenyiga *655*2# okebere oba osobola okwefunira MTN Kabode olumala okebera bw'oti dduka buddusi ku dduka lya MTN lyonna eri kuli okumpi weefunire MTN Kabode olwo olyoka ogisasule mpola ng'osasula nusu 15,000 zokka buli wiiki okumala emyezi 6 ng'okozesa MTN Momo weefunire kapode kati.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
The e-Government Excellence Exhibition is here. Come and experience the ease of accessing government services online as government entities showcase their digital transformation to fast, convenient and efficient service delivery. The e-Government Exhibition will be held at the Garden City Mall parking on Friday, 3rd November, starting at 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Entrance is free. The e-Government Exhibition is organized by the National Information Technology Authority Uganda in partnership with the World Bank Group, Huawei and Ernst & Young.
Transact and win money after money with Airtel Money. 1.5 billion shillings in cash prizes up for grabs. The more you transact, the higher your chances of winning. Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless. Transact and win money after money with Airtel Money. 1.5 billion shillings in cash prizes up for grabs.
Nyombe Maruse Ronald, Ngazwarua, Micholo Star, Alo Aro Towi, Hash, Mi Daily, Milo Airtime Je, Micho Mi MB's data Je, then Milo Choti Milisu in the Banlu Sender Balumi Kolu. Customer can let me call early or many in the sender.
The more you transact, the higher your chances of winning. Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless.
Welcome back from that short break, and this is the second edition of News Tonight here on UBC TV, and a warm welcome to those of you just joining us. Now, moving on, Uganda Police is investigating the cause of the fire outbreak that happened at the garment factory store. The incident that happened last night saw the fire spread faster, destroying thousands of police uniforms and other items. Deputy spokesperson Kampala Metropolitan Police Luko Oyesigire says several samples have been taken to ascertain the incident.
Police Fire Prevention and Rescue Services managed to contain an incident of fire that gutted police garment factory in Kampala. It's alleged that fire started at around 8 p.m. last night at the factory that spread faster, destroying thousands of police items.
Majorly a store, the production line was intact, but where we keep our clothes, our materials, our other items in majorly a store caught fire, and all these items from capes, uniform material to uniforms for both prisons and police officers were all destroyed. Investigations are ongoing to ascertain the cause of the fire. Trying to ascertain what exactly happened, what could have caused this fire. Was it an issue to do with electricity, or someone intended to do all of this? But of course our investigators will come out with the details on that. But what we want to promise you is that we're doing everything possible to see this doesn't happen in the future, and also likewise to make sure that we find out we get to the bottom of what exactly happened. We shall also make sure that we pick samples from the scene of crime, which of course will be taken to government analytical laboratories and our forensic experts to ascertain whether this was a fire from electricity or something else. No individual succumbed to the fire, and currently police is auditing to find out the total damage. Lydia Chomkama, UBC News.
To the August House now, where Parliament has challenged government on the mode of operations of the recent new cities that were created in 2020. The Committee on Public Service and Local Government, chaired by Onzima Godfrey, raised concern over lack of proper structures running the cities. Minister for Public Service, Muruli Mukasa, admitted the mishap, as we hear in this report.
In 2020, government okayed operation of 7 new cities, including Arua, Mbarara, Hoima, Mbale, Fort Portal, Gulu, and Masaka. Even when the beneficiaries smiled at the campaign, the fruits are yet to be realized, as the status of the cities are seemingly ceremonial. The cities have no clear structures for its operations, which are letting down service delivery.
We need to have a law that provides clear criteria for an area to become a town council, a municipality, and a city.
The Sectoral Committee on Public Service and Local Government has engaged the stakeholders, including Ministry of Local Government, Ministry of Public Service, Attorney General, and divisional mayors to harmonize the operations of the cities. The MPs conclude that the cities were created without prior sufficient planning.
It doesn't sound well, Honourable Minister, that we are still talking about cabinet trying to improve structure and the rest, but yet we are keeping on disbanding what? Monies.
You cannot talk of service delivery without the people to render the services. And the people to render the services are the staff, and the staff emerge from the structures which are in place.
The MPs are worried about government programs, including a Myoga and parish model, which are being implemented in some areas where structural development plans is wanting.
And we are approaching the next financial where 100 million will be remitted. So this story of cabinet, what I really want to appeal to cabinet to expedite the process, otherwise there is a very big challenge.
Minister for Public Service, Muruli Mukasa, who admits the gaps in the composition of the new cities, reveals that the plans are underway to acquire funds and expedite the mending of the concerns.
That as soon as all these niceties are done with, then there will be some money to start off with. And all I can say is that yes, these are going to be out of the way very soon, and at least there will be some money.
So we shall continue to fight for the increase of money for the cities, so that we can, especially we, the members of parliament who are representing cities in the house, we are not going to leave any stone unturned.
The Committee on Local Government and Public Service is chaired by Aringa North County MP Onzima Godfrey, Daniel Mugoya, and Gloria Gwitabinji, UBC News.
Minister for Local Government, Raphael Majezi, has reaffirmed that government has stopped creation of new local government administrative units. Minister Majezi made the remarks during a training workshop for Bamunanika Sub-County Local Government in Lwengo District. The training aims at sensitizing locals on the roles, responsibilities and promotion of human rights to foster development.
The government has halted the creation of new local government administrative units until when the country nears the 2026 general elections. The Minister for Local Government, Raphael Majezi, says government is trying to reduce on the expenditures, especially for the National Electoral Commission, when organizing fresh elections for the newly created administrative units. Majezi encouraged local and opinion leaders to wait until the right time.
Tetuja kutondawo administrative units empya oba local governments empya paka nga tusembera akalulu akajja olw'ensonga bbiri. Ensonga esooka, kooti yatuwa ekiragiro, yatuwa ensalamu yaayo, omusango gwatuwaabirwa, netulagira tukome okutandikawo gavumenti z'ebitundu nga zeetaaga okulondoka mu makati awo.
The minister was at Bamunanika in Lwengo District at a leaders training workshop on the theme Roles and Responsibilities of Local Leaders and Promotion of Human Rights. He encouraged them to be role models in the fight against corruption.
I want to appeal to local governments to remain to observe high integrity, high levels of integrity, remain vigilant, and I'm glad the people of Bamunanika have assured me they will maintain a stand of zero tolerance to corruption in Bamunani.
On the issue of motorcycles for the LC3 chairpersons and bicycles for the LC1 and 2, Minister Majezi encouraged them to remain calm. Uganda Human Rights Commission in charge of Central Region, Lugose Juliet, promised to partner with local councils on creating awareness on development and human rights.
Honourable Minister, they play a critical role in human rights protection and promotion. They have been doing this, but it is not very, very effective because of so many challenges. I heard the LC3 chairperson emphasizing the issue of bicycle allowance. Honourable Minister, I want to re-emphasize that these people here can do very good work, but because of limitation.
Story by Fred Kasibante for UBC News.
NRM's National Vice Chairperson Alhaji Moses Chigongo has asked grassroots NRM leaders to stamp out corruption and promote unity for effective service delivery. He was meeting NRM leaders in Kayunga Town Council at the official launch of Kayunga LC5 by-election campaigns for NRM's candidate Andrew Mwonge. Chigongo, who has pitched camp in Kayunga, was in company of party secretariat officials led by the Director Mobilization, Rosemary Nansubuga Seninde.
N'obimugirayo n'atuna maaso nga tikyalina ne kyayogera mubalabye era mukimanyi oli naye twagala kati mulundi guno tugenda okuddamu okugogola okulaba nti sisitimu yaffe eyeeyongera amaanyi kaakati mwe nga bachairman bw'owulira bachairman munno bamukudde yimuka nga tibannaba kusiba sooka owulire sooka oyimuka omanye ensonga kibadde ki kati bwe nkwatako wano omu abalala mbaganye okutambula kakati omulala atambula jjategezi tukolole sisitimu kwewaayo kiva mu kukola ki kwewaayo segenda ffe twali tukwewaddeeyo nnyo sisitimu ya NRM yagibaddewo.
NRM's Vice Chairperson Alhaji Moses Chigongo ending that report there. Minister for Science, Technology and Innovation, Dr. Monica Musenero, has challenged animal sector players to focus on research and value addition as the country moves towards developing the industrial sector. The National Development Plan 3 has prioritized industrialization and value addition. Adiana Kuti gives us more.
Uganda is developing the industrial sector and value addition. Agro-processing has been emphasized. Minister for Science, Technology and Innovation, Dr. Monica Musenero, says the country needs to utilize all her resources that include crop and livestock to grow the industrial sector in order to create employment and economic growth. She was officiating at the Uganda Veterinary Association meeting that drew representation from East African countries, including Kenya and Tanzania. The meeting on the theme, Strategic Positioning of the Animal Sector for Agro-Industrialization, is looking at how animal sector players can contribute to the country's competitiveness.
For us as the livestock stakeholders, to allow that there will be only one value point. I get an animal, I go and slaughter it, and the final consumer comes and buys, then we are constraining the economy. Where are we going to create jobs? But if we industrialize along that value chain, by the time somebody picks meat from a supermarket, you have employed 10, 20, 30 people along the way, and they are able to get value. That's why industrialization and value addition is very, very important to an economy.
Veterinary officers want government to invest in the animal subsector by creating awareness among the farmers about the importance of animal health. Currently, One Health approach, where farmers get information on the management and care of both animals and crops, since the two are important for human health. Bella Masangano and Adia Nakuti, UBC News.
Thanks, Bella, for that report there. Now, let's go back to the happenings in the DRC, where the UPDF and DRC forces are targeting areas where the Allied Democratic Forces are having their bases. A lot has been talked about, and yesterday even in Parliament, some members of Parliament having divergent views. Now, the lawyers have weighed in, and they're saying, basing their views on the status agreement between the government of Uganda and the Democratic Republic of Congo, the lawyers say there was no need for UPDF to first seek approval from Parliament to attack the ADF in Congo. They say since the two countries agreed to fight the common enemy, the ADF, UPDF did not breach any law.
It's now 30 days since UPDF, together with the Congo government, launched a joint air and ground attack against ADF terrorists in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The UPDF press release shows that their aim is to attack a number of ADF who have been killing, looting, abducting innocent people in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo and using IED explosions to kill people in Uganda. However, the UPDF is moved to attack the ADF, sparked concerns from the legislators, accusing the force for not seeking approval from Parliament to conduct the operation.
Because those who are dying in Congo are our own brothers and sons and sisters and daughters. The resources of this country, the budget being expended is of Uganda, but also the repercussions that are going to come up.
We understand the sensitivity of security, and we would not have asked for the details of locations, how many forces you're going to take, etc. But we're not asking for too much to say respect to the Constitution, respect the UPDF Act by seeking authorization.
But a day of reckoning is going to come when individual responsibility, where there will be individual culpability.
Lawyer Dan Wandelo Ogalo highlights under what circumstances the army should seek permission or approval from Parliament.
So my understanding, my interpretation of this is that it is applicable where we are going to war with another country. So the president says, okay, we are a state of war exists between Uganda and Kenya. So that's when now the president goes to Parliament and says, there is a state of war between Uganda and Kenya. I don't think there is a state of war between Uganda and Congo.
Since Uganda is a signatory to the United Nations Security Council, the issue of Otpasu may seem to be applicable under this situation between Uganda and Congo.
Where there is no state of war with another country is covered under the UPDF Act. Under the UPDF Act, what it would require is for the minister, in this case I believe the Minister of Defense, to enter into an agreement with the government of Congo. Assume that ADF has attacked Uganda and is in Fort Portal, and the UPDF starts pushing them back. They reach the border. That is where the doctrine of hot pursuit can come in.
Some legislators are also concerned about the budget for conducting the operation in Congo.
If the war requires more money, the minister will go back to Parliament and say, by the way, we need a supplementary because the money you gave us, we were not having such a big burden like a war in Congo.
In a status agreement between the government of Uganda and Congo, Uganda was given a leeway to attack the ADF. The UPDF spokesperson Brigadier Flavia Byekwanso says it's an opportunity to defeat the prolonged Ugandan enemy.
We must look for them wherever they are. Yes, so everything is necessary, but this was not necessary. Then I think the rest of the procedures, the rest of things, those can be put straight, literally according to. And I know whatever the procedure will, or whatever it is, it will be addressed.
This is not the first time Uganda is attacking the ADF. Uganda was also sued by the government of Congo for making attacks without its consent. The government chief whip Thomas Tayebo explains more on this operation.
What the government of Uganda is doing is pursuing rebels who have been destabilizing the country. But what we know and the information I have, whatever operation we've done has been successful.
Even if the law doesn't force you, just good manners that as the other arm of government which funds you, you bring them on board. You may need not to go to the whole parliament, but there is a committee on security and defense.
Deborah Namamonde, Daniel Lugemwa, UBC News.
Deborah and Daniel, thank you so much for that report. And of course, still some divergent views in as far as this deployment in the DRC. State Minister for Disability Affairs, Asamo Helen Grace, said that Uganda is promoting equality of persons with disabilities. She was addressing the media on the International Day for Persons with Disability due 3rd December under the theme, All Disabilities Are Visible, a call for a stronger post-COVID-19 agenda.
The Uganda National Bureau of Statistics report of 2019 indicates that Uganda has 5,642,000 people with disability, with majority of the disabilities invisible, constituting 1.4 million or 36%. Physical disabilities may include cerebral palsy, amputation of a limb, paralysis, deformity, deafness, blindness, low vision, little people and albinism. State Minister for Disability Affairs says, as Uganda prepares for the International Day for Disability, it considers equal opportunity for all.
Understand how to manage enterprises, reduce vulnerability, increase household incomes, and reduce exclusion from society.
At least an estimated 1 out of every 5 women with disability suffer gender-based violence, whereas girls with disability are discriminated against, basing on myth and stereotypes.
It was reported that the girls and women with disabilities are sometimes raped and used as sexual objects to cure HIV/AIDS.
The minister told the media that government will eliminate all forms of neglect, abuse and violence provided for under Article 32 and 35 of the Constitution. Disability increases with age, especially among persons of 85 years and above, which constitutes 71% of the people living with disabilities. Of the estimated 40.3 million Uganda population, persons with disability constitute 15% female and 12% male. David Asimwe compiled this report for UBC News.
Now, government needs affirmative action before the reopening of institutions of learning for legislators to process a special fund to be injected in the education sector. This has been disclosed by the Vice Chairperson Acholi Parliamentary Group at the National Dialogue on Social Protection for In and Out of School Adolescents by Adventist Development and Relief Agency here in Kampala.
Person Acholi Parliamentary Group Anyua Ricky Richard says Acholi sub-region is among regions with high poverty index. Ricky Richard says the COVID-19 pandemic has increased poverty levels in Acholi sub-region with high rates of crude water consumption and teenage pregnancies.
If Parliament can process a bill and see how the government can intervene more, you find that the formal yearly budget is not enough. Before the lockdown, before the COVID came in, even government intervention was limited.
Interacting with stakeholders of the Adventist Development Agency, Ricky Richard recommended scaling up interventions strategically in agriculture, investigations of the social protection in and out of school youth in northern Uganda. It was observed that violations of the underprivileged groups and the girl child is on the rise.
Some of them may not
be able to go back to school and attend and gain something. There are those who can really do it, but there are those who cannot do it. But we are seeing, like, when we look at things of skilling them, this can be something that help them attain future, help them at least get something productive for their lives and for the lives of the children that maybe they've made to this world.
George Odongoto of Padel NGO Forum expressed the need of preparing teachers and parents to prepare their children for school due to the trauma of the COVID-19 pandemic.
There is also limited access to national TV, where the learning, the media learning was also being conducted. Thirdly, there were only 2 radios in the region that were contracted by government to deliver learning through radio. Fourth, we also have limited access to the material distributed through the LCs for engaging children.
The Senior Community Development Officer, Agago, Adong Pasca, says efforts against sensitizing youth against consumption of kadeng and torero is in vain.
So I still urge that let them also scrutinize the alcohol, that all the intake, the liquor that people are going to take before they take it to the community. And it has become something very difficult to remove it away from our community members. But we are also telling them that you're the one who is consuming it and you're the one having problem. Why do you consume what you feel it is not going to make your health okay?
Is committed to the Acholi sub-region for the next 6 years. We will be working with our participants and stakeholders in the Lamo, Kitgum, Gago, and Pader. Specifically on sexual reproductive health and rights, as well as livelihoods. So that is our...
Lack of resources, low government support and policy implementation has been pointed out as some of the challenges in promotion of in and out of school adolescents. Sudat Kaye, UBC News.
To Karamoja sub-region now, where legislators from Karamoja sub-region with civil society organizations are dissatisfied with the misery caused by mining companies to the local people of Karamoja. A State Minister for Minerals, Peter Lokeris, assured them that the new amendment of the Mining and Minerals Bill 2021 will rectify many issues.
Over 70 participants, including members of parliament from Karamoja sub-region, have shared ideas on the amendment of the new Mining and Minerals Bill at the workshop organized by Resource Rights Africa and advocates for natural resources. Despite Karamoja having over 50 types of minerals, such as gold, marble, iron ore, copper, poverty levels are high among the local people. Leaders of Karamoja sub-region want Minister of Energy and Mineral Development to provide a fair share in royalties in the Mining and Mineral Bill.
And people's rights must, because they are the one accountable to us. If you are an investor, come to the LC5 of the district. The LC5 will bring you to the LC3 and to the community, so that we discuss before which land do you want to use, for how long.
Because these quarries, trucks, they have destroyed the road. You know, we need, because it's not really clear how much do we get as the local people in terms of local revenue on in the mining sector, because everything is not yet clear.
Assured the legislators and the Karimajong community that government is seeking a number of views from key stakeholders before the bill is passed to address bottlenecks.
We can decide to put a percentage or through what we call the subsidiary legislation. The regulation can insert it there, so that there is some money all the time saved by a company A which is operating point B.
The bill will provide a transparent and sustainable marketing strategy for minerals. The chairperson of Karamoja Miners Association, Simon Peter Nangiro, says the minerals which the region received as a blessing are turning out to be a curse to the Karimajong.
Because some of these companies, I'm told that they are even operating when their licenses were also expired already, and they were supposed to be renewed. So I think there are some other pending issues that we need to address.
And they sometimes use security agencies to constrain people's access to their own land. You wake up, you cannot take cows where you have been grazing.
that there are people from Kampala who have come to mine. Your LC1 doesn't know. Your LC3 does not know. Even the LC5 doesn't know.
Remigio Achia, Member of Parliament, Pian constituency, appealed to the Minister of Land to visit Karamoja region and sensitize local people on land-related matters.
I witnessed in River Creek a very bad thing, water being discharged from some roller to the river where our people are bathing, our animals are taking water, and we are saying, Nema, where are you?
Ivan Juko, Rebecca Natongo for UBC News.
Business news now, and bus transport fares have been increased throughout different regions in Uganda, which has affected the turn-up of passengers in various bus parks. The acting chairman, United Buses Association, Solomon Sivide, said the increase in fuel prices and other motor inputs has forced them to come up with this unanimous resolution.
Passengers using bus transport are facing hiked fares when the economic stand of the country is not good. A passenger to a park at Namaiba bus terminal said he paid 75,000 from the previous 45,000.
Which is very challenging to us, the people who cannot access this money.
Increasing bus fares was a resolution adopted by all bus owners and United Buses Association after making regional consultations following the increase in fuel prices and inputs.
On average, all bus fares have been increased or are going to be increased by 5, maybe to 8,000.
They are going to have a meeting with the Commissioner of Transport and Road Safety to understand and investigate why they need to increase the bus fares. If somebody does it against the arrangement, then he risks having his license withdrawn.
Bus owners at Nabaiba bus terminal have started implementing the resolution, and according to the manager, Nelson Sekandi, it is affecting business.
From Kampala to Mbali, it used to be something like 800,000 to 900,000. But you need to fuel a bus also with a fuel of 1.5 or 1.4.
The manager, Jaguar Bus Company, says that although implementation of these fares has started, passengers still bargain for a fair charge.
We've already started, but the turn up. When somebody comes and says, me, I don't know about that, I'm going to pay 30,000. You take me, and obviously you have a time frame of loading.
The manager of Pit Travelers that operates in Gulu, Moses Oriema, says the biggest factor is carrying half capacity because of the social distance.
33 half capacity. And now if you count that money for the half capacity for the first price, it cannot buy you fuel. It cannot pay you staff. It cannot buy you spares. Yeah, that's why we are compelled to add something a little. We did not.
It is just the beginning of the festive month of December, where a lot of passengers plan to travel starting 20th to celebrate Christmas. I'm Navka Farida and Joel Vubia in Kampala.
And worries abound that by the time it gets to 20th of this month, those fares might have actually been doubled. The Parliamentary Committee on Tourism, Trade and Industry has tasked line ministries to revisit taxes on imported goods to allow local investors to get market for their produce. In partnership with Ministries of Trade and Finance, the committee currently on an assessment visit toured factories in Namamve and Jinja industrial parks to ascertain activities carried out there. The team was led by the committee chairperson, Muine Mpaka.
Members of the Parliamentary Committee on Tourism, Trade and Industry have conducted a two-day visit to factories in Jinja and Namamve to assess their capabilities and the services carried out. The visit kicked off from the East African Medical Vitals in Namamve, a factory that produces cycle gloves, before heading to other factories in Jinja.
I just wanted to know the rubber trees, those kind of species, if you have them in Uganda.
Apart from other places where we have been, I can testify
that you people, you consider the local content here.
Members of the committee noted with concern the higher production costs, but with loan returns by some factories.
We can look into the issue of maybe giving some additional charges on those ones who are still importing the glass from outside the country.
Today we are surprised to hear even from the minister that most of the money were put in the bank to buy the bills and bonds.
They tasked Minister of Investment to clarify on the 500 billion that was allocated to UDB to support investors.
So we are still establishing facts in the field.
What we've heard from the ministers clearly justifies that the money was not used for the role was supposed to do.
And this has disorganized some of the factories at a time when they are affected by these COVID challenges.
Minister for Finance in charge of investment, Evelyn Anite, told MPs that the ministry is in the process of tracing the funds in question.
But I can assure you I am going to follow it to the bottom of it, and I will also ask you that we all do that.
Minister of State for Economic Monitoring David Bahati pledged to follow up on the issue and also plans to effect taxes to benefit local investors.
One commitment I want to give you is that there will be value for every money that you appropriate.
However, some members on the committee were concerned that most factories are still under foreign ownership and still employing less Ugandans.
For example, the steel and tube, they said the proprietors are Ugandans, they have Ugandan names. But when you just look at it and we found the Indians and whatnot.
Mwine Mpaka says it could be true that many companies did not follow guidelines that were issued to them to employ 60% of Ugandans.
In some instances, we don't see Buy Uganda, Build Uganda. In some instances, we are seeing success stories.
The company that manufactures the surgical gloves, condoms, among others, is owned by a Ugandan.
The committee will tour other factories across the country.
Banadiga with that report there. The Minister for Finance, Planning and Economic Development, Matiaka Seija, has inaugurated the new board of the Financial Intelligence Authority with the task of strengthening the fight against terror financing and money laundering. The new board is chaired by Alina Kasule, replacing Leo Chibirango.
The new board of the Financial Intelligence Authority will be chaired by an economist, Alina Kalule. The Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, Matiaka Seija, has tasked them to uphold the objectives of the body.
Enhancing public awareness and understanding of the matters related to money laundering and enhancing the identification of the proceeds of crime and the combating of money laundering.
The outgoing board is held for the fight against money laundering and other activities of terrorism financing.
The last financial year, 2020-2021, we had 2,540 suspicious transaction reports, and then for the large cash transaction reports, we have 27,205,247. And also for purposes of terrorism financing, liaising with our counterparts in the security.
For proper encounters and work executions, the outgoing members propose law amendments.
And to guarantee safe money for safe markets.
We pledge to do our might in the execution of the mandate that has been bestowed upon us.
This is the third board to the authority since its establishment by an act of parliament in 2013 to combat money laundering and related crimes. Abdul Nasir Lubwama, UBC News.
Uganda Revenue Authority has launched a client service charter, a document based on 3 core values, which are patriotism, integrity, and professionalism. While unveiling the document at URA headquarters in Nakawa, the Commissioner General URA, John Musinguzi Rujuki, assured the taxpayers of exceptional service delivery going forward.
We are promising through this document, we commit to serve our valued taxpayers efficiently so that there is no taxpayer who will come to our offices and leave with a disappointed face. There is no reason we should ask you to come back tomorrow for services that we can offer you today. A number of you who I served this morning came with pending tasks of 10 requests. And what makes the request pending is most probably where you submitted your form yesterday, the officer has not worked on your document to send it here for approval. So instead of asking you to go back and come back tomorrow, we are changing that. We will tell you, wait around for 10 minutes. We will pick our telephones. We will call the officer who received your request, and we'll ask him to do the needful and release your document in the system so that you can go back to your team.
1-0, Buganda.
Yera Commissioner General ending that report there. Now, the Minister for, I beg your pardon, the Katikkiro of Buganda, Charles Peter Mayiga, has asked investors to create a good working environment for workers. The Katikkiro made this statement at the renewal of partnership contract between Buganda Kingdom and Kansai Plascon Company through a campaign Plascon paints and rubbishes various Kingdom institutional buildings.
Buganda Kingdom launched a campaign to refurbish all its institutional buildings and cultural sites across the country. Individuals and companies have been involved in this campaign. Plascon Company, dealing in paint, has collaborated with the Buganda Kingdom and paid courtesy call to Bulange to renew their partnership contract for 3 years. The agreement will cater for Buganda's institution buildings with a capacity of 11,573 square meters painted annually. The Prime Minister of Uganda, Charles Peter Mayiga, commended them for their relationship with Uganda.
Interested in partners who are interested in our initiatives, who are interested in the promotion of the programs which we believe are going to cause positive change in the community, in the kingdom. Investors must take cognizance of local circumstances, the social conditions in which an investor operates are some of the fundamentals which will actually determine the level of profits.
Plascon Company's Managing Director Santosh Gumti committed their continuous cooperation with the Buganda Kingdom.
Community and any project that comes across which covers these areas, we like to be a part of it. We're grateful that we have also been given this opportunity to participate in all the initiatives of the Buganda Kingdom.
I'm Ivan Juko for UBC News.
And finally, let's have an item on sports, where Uganda under-20 women's national team head coach Ayub Khalifa KNG and skipper Fauzia Najemba have expressed readiness as the team prepares to face South Africa on Friday at St. Mary's Stadium, Chitende. The two indicated the team is in perfect shape to face South Africa and they are optimistic of a good result. Chinji stated that he has tried to address the weaknesses and believes they have the right attitude towards Friday's game. The return leg will come in 2 weeks' time and the winner on aggregate will progress to the fourth qualifying phase.
The lose we lost against Ethiopia in Sekafa, we are concentrating on South Africa. That is, we want to qualify for World Cup. So all the players and our coaches, we all switched to preparing for World Cup, not Sekafa. Yes, we had that challenge, but we corrected our mistakes because we realized the mistakes that we done, and as players, we have progressed in different We've progressed as a team, and we hope to give the very best in tomorrow's game.
The coach and my players, we expect nothing other than a win. We don't want anything that is less than a win. That is what we want from tomorrow's game. We've played South Africa.
And that brings us to the end of the second edition of News Tonight. Thank you so much for having kept us company. My name is Rukidi Edward Kijanangoma, but I leave you with Alitwera Gillett with the weather forecast for tomorrow. But from me and the entire news crew this evening, I wish you a lovely night.
Hello there, welcome to yet another edition of the Weather Report. I'm Alitwera Gillett from Uganda National Meteorological Authority. Today we've had sunny intervals dominate most parts of our country, apart from a few areas near Lake Victoria Basin where we've had light rains. For the rainfall report received by 9 a.m. this morning, it indicates Masindi with the highest of 17 millimeters, Masaka reported 14.3, Mbara 9.8, whereas Bududa in the east reported 2.8 millimeters. From the satellite image taken over Africa, it indicates that the rain belt is still covering some parts in the southern sector of our country, contributing to the wet activities in those areas, though there is a reduction in wet weather activities in the northern sector of our country. For tomorrow morning, we are expecting light rains for areas in the lake and around Lake Victoria Basin, a few areas. Elsewhere, we shall have sunny intervals dominate. Later in the afternoon, we are still expecting light rains for most parts of southern sector, thunder showers for southwestern Uganda, and the rest of the country will be enjoying sunny intervals. The maximum temperatures will rise to 32 degrees centigrade for the Karamoja region. The northern, we shall have 30 degrees centigrade. Around the lake, 27. And for Kasese, we are expecting a temperature of 28 degrees centigrade, 23 for Kabale Highlands. Elsewhere on the globe, we are expecting sunny intervals to dominate in Doha and a temperature of 21 degrees centigrade as the minimum. Thunder showers for Mwanza and a temperature of 30 degrees centigrade. Sunny conditions in Addis Ababa. Sunny intervals for Dubai and Brussels, whereas Brussels, we are expecting really cold temperatures to drop even up to 2 degrees centigrade. Thank you for keeping me company. Join us tomorrow, same time, for another edition. Have a wonderful night.
Guletede MTN Kabode esimu ya smart gyosobola okwefunira olwo n'ogisasula mpola nkugambye yeneerye yakabi ate nga tamanyi endala zonna mu katale ejjirako omuggo gwa yintaneti kati ky'oba okola gwenyiga sitiimu 65 *5 *2 okebere oba osobola okwefunira MTN Kabode